Okay, traders, it's Monday, March 9th, and I was not in the room today. I'm having family in town, so George was holding down the fort, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happened in the market, just like the rest of you might be. So take it away, George.
Yeah, it maintained pretty normal all the way up through, what'd you say, about 3 o'clock?
Yeah, like
We'll jump
3:30, it
into it.
just popped.
Yeah, we're all done with the trading room by 11:30 a.m. Typically, we've given what guidance we're going to give up to that point anyway, so it shouldn't have affected anybody. But here we are. We'll start with the ES here. We'll go starting here. So we had some pre-market maneuver. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. Getting my bearings for the day. All right, so here we are, 9:20. We started talking, and today the only thing that was of any real importance that started our morning off with, and you can always tell what we're doing at what time of day based on where we start the lines and the verbiage and the arrows and so forth. The bubbles not so much, but the beginning lines for sure. So we knew that starting the day off, they had a hurdle to the top side and a hurdle to the downside. So what do we do as we just sit here in the room? Nothing. If we are literally stuck right here in the middle at somewhere around 66, 80 or give or take, and we're not to either one side of the market's decision points, which a hurdle is a pretty significant decision point, then we really just don't do anything. Typically, for the folks that are watching this and just trying to get a gauge of how we actually interact with the market. So as it pulled its way down, it gave an opportunity to go long at the hurdle, and it did get a bounce. We got a nice bounce at 950. Didn't really do a whole lot, but then it did finally give downside targets, which we're down here at the only one it got to was the 66.41 half. And then after that, the real conversations in the room was this. Real simple. We were unable to get to the upside hurdle at the beginning of the morning. We clearly got to the downside hurdle and just a little bit beyond. So we went like 8 more points to the downside. Market achieved target. Perfect. The real question was, does the market try to consolidate down below the hurdle, or do we get back above it? And that was really, for me, that was my trade. They coincided both on the ES and the NQ, is that I didn't take anything in the short position because I was looking for the longs. Only, and I'll cover it a little more on the NQ. You'll kind of see why they correlated so well. But yeah, once it got back above the hurdle and we had a closure, I got long personally to the first series of targets and then beyond. So again, we had all this called out, half an hour, 45 minutes at least, if not longer, prior to them actually getting there. And the bubbles are the targets. And then the real question, which was on my mind, was up here, this kind of highlighted blue zone we gave out to everybody. It was kind of the same concept, like to the downside, it's like, we have a hurdle to the downside, but there are technically targets. So the real question is, do they get below hurdle and stay below, or do they come back above? And that was really the same question for this zone up here, because we were still coming off of a much bigger move that actually came to a conclusion, but we don't know it came to a conclusion. But it came to a conclusion on Sunday evening. So the only way we know for a fact that it's over is it's got to get above this zone and stay above it. So that was really, and it didn't really matter too much because, again, we're only here typically till about 11:30. And if we've achieved this many number of targets, you really shouldn't be seeking out anything else anyway. But we did get everything all the way up to the rubber band right here at about 11:40 in the morning. And it was a pretty perfect tag. And then it just retraced. And then, yes, we had news that came out. So this was kind of not typical. That thing just took off. Some announcement apparently coming out of the White House. So that was the ES. And then here, if you remember, so think about the ES a little bit, time of day wise. And this is why I was pretty comfortable taking the ES long, because the NQ correlated quite nicely. Same time of day, but it was struggling with a downside hurdle as well. And as you can see right here at about 10 o'clock, it never closed below it. So sometimes you have to do this. You have to use one market when it's trying to get to a key area to figure out how you might engage with the other market. So it is nice when you can step back and use both of them. And then it gave targets to the upsides. Again, it was kind of the same thing. So long as the downside hurdle holds, then I don't really care. Everything else is fine. Like that's not like a total break of the market, but if it holds, it holds. So if it's holding, just keep holding until you get to targets. So it did get to our series of targets, and then the conversation here flipped on the NQ to say, look, they haven't given any additional upside targets beyond here as far as this rubber band up around 609. Therefore, if you're still going to try to hold anything in the furthering positions, you have to look at the ES because it did have still upside targets. So let's see, about 1250. Let's see where the ES was at 1250. So here's 1250, and it was basically hitting rubber band. So this happens. Not that, I guess you didn't really need to hold for that long. That was, in and of itself, just from the hurdle, so 314 all the way to rubber band. I mean, that's already that's 300 points. I don't think anybody in our room is swing trading inside of an intraday time frame. So it was a good day. It was a perfectly good day. It maintained. It didn't really get too crazy. ES was a little bit more difficult because it did break our hurdle, but it did recover back above it. So, grain of salt on the ES, but the NQ was pretty spot on. It didn't do much. And even if you got to only the only series of targets we had, you had a pretty fantastic day. So that's what happened.
Excellent. And looking forward to tomorrow. There's actually no medium or high level news, so maybe the morning will behave a little bit better. So I know I'll be looking at ChartCast to see what you're doing in the morning.
Nice. Yeah, we didn't have any news today either, but they did have that announcement apparently about, I guess it was some canal somewhere in the world that somebody's taking control of, and everybody likes it. So
ES popped 100 points. What was the Nasdaq? I didn't quite see it on your chart over there at like 3.
Yeah, let's go over here and see. It was big.
Cow,
yes. So call it about 1,000, almost. Yeah, I mean from the low down here at 1345. Yeah, so
400 or 500 points.
Nearly 1,000 points.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we're not, just for clarification's sake, we're not looking for every trade in this room. We're trying to find the high quality, high probability, high chance that we've got it. And this is why we list things the way that we do, ask to holds, hurdles, and so forth. Like these are areas of the market that they really do have to get through these things. Therefore, if they have to do it, the inverse is, well, why not trade off of them? Or if you're not that trader, same thing. At least it's a piece of information to say, well, it tried it, and it went right there, couldn't get through it. So then you can enter at your own risk as you increase up.
Okay, plenty of good stuff to be had today. It looked like really one nice, good long trade if you're able to take that and that fit your risk parameters. We always tell people every single person in the room is trading a different kind of account. Some are prop, some are cash, some are big, some are small. So we can't really predict who took what where, but this was a perfect setup. If you look at our videos, we got a free training course. We talk about almost exactly what happened today at that hurdle. And actually there was some nice counter trend on a couple of the rubber bands too, right there on the ES. So go check out that course if you want. And we have a 7-day free trial. In addition to that trial, at some point during your week, George will reach out and give you a one-on-one coaching session and make sure you understand what our lingo is. And everybody so far that has come on in the last couple of weeks has taken advantage of that. So happy to see that. And thanks again for your time, George, and we'll see you in the morning.
Yep. Thanks, Bob. See you tomorrow.